Lewis Show, which is going to sound a lot familiar to hour one because I've asked the guests to stick around and talk about some other things revolving around shelter for the homeless. So with us in studio, a man you should be familiar with now because we've been associated with him for decades. He is the executive director of the Rescue Ministries of Mid-Michigan, and he is Dan Streeter. Also with us is the Community Development Director from Bay City. She is Deb Kiesel. And also with us is the Shelter Director in Bay City at Good Samaritan, and he is Jeff Hagenhauer. So, Dan, I want to do an overview of the Rescue Ministries. I had asked you last hour if you could have envisioned 20-some-odd years ago how big the organization has gotten, and along with that, how big a budget you have to fund. Give us an overview of the Rescue Ministries of Mid-Michigan and how many components there are. I don't know if we've ever done that.
No, well,
we haven't less than an hour, so take your time.
So if you wanted to, you could go to rescuemidmichigan.org and you can be able to see all the things that we do. It started in 1905, founded by Mel Trotter, and in downtown Saginaw. And so it's been intriguing to see how God has sustained the work for 120 years as we celebrate that anniversary.
I'm going to stop you right there.
It's going to take more than an hour if you keep stopping.
That. That's all right. But you mentioned a very important word in all of this. You mentioned God. What role has God played in the mission and in your life?
So let me take the long route to that answer. The interesting thing is that there were 4 churches that were extremely concerned about homelessness and poverty-related issues back in 1905. And those 4 churches heard that there was an individual over on the west side of the state in Grand Rapids by the name of Mel Trotter who was helping to see tremendous results in care for those that were homeless. And so they asked him to come to Saginaw and to start up a ministry there was what their ask was. And it took them about 4 months to raise the funds. And then they opened up what had been a saloon that got closed. And it was between 2 other saloons.
Symbolism.
Exactly. And right from the start,
because back then,
yes,
alcoholism was the main problem, wasn't it?
Huge, yes. But, poverty was as well.
Yeah.
And so one of the methodologies of service, even though there was the overnight shelter for men, there was also a house that was very quickly developed for women of ill repute, is how they would have said it back then, and to be able to get them a place of shelter and to be able to break away from that lifestyle. Plus, we also had what was called the gospel wagon. And so that wagon every evening would go out into the neighborhoods, and anybody who wanted to jump on the wagon could do so. Families, kids, adults, whatever. Come to the mission, get a meal. There would be a gospel service every evening, and then they would take people back. And so, the phrase falling off the wagon came from that originally. You lost your sobriety run because you stopped going to the mission. And so faith has sustained us for many years, and it's what compels us serving God. And as we had talked about what are prophets, to us the real prophet is to be able to see a changed life in somebody that can be ministered to. And even though the services are available to anybody, and we're not forcing anybody, but our hope is that as Christ lives through us, and as we demonstrate that love to others, that it will then interest them to want to know more. So that's our methodology, and that's what compels us every day and our staff to do the work that is sometimes extremely difficult. I don't want to, you come in, we talk about it, but when you're talking with that person who is under crisis or who's been having all these struggles and they want to vent at you.
Well, I don't think I've ever said this to you, but as the Jewish kid from New York, one of the reasons that I am a supporter of yours and the missions is because of your faith. I can see that faith drives you. and I've known you a long time. And if you didn't have that faith, you wouldn't be doing this.
Exactly. At 1,000%. Because, as you talk about what...
And by the way, folks, we pick on each other all the time, so I'm being nice right now.
This is a rare moment right now. But that's what drives us and compels us. And it also is why we are never satisfied. We know that we can always do more. We continue as we get to know our guests who come through and to see the problems that they have. And if we could just do this, or if we could just do that. And so it starts with brainstorming and dreaming on the front lines to then what we can try to implement into reality.
Yeah, but I've never known you to say no. You find a way.
Well, I think that's part of the goal, and that's part of my role, is to try to help advocate, help open up dialogue, and to try to find opportunity for us to be able to deliver that next service. But as we push forward as to all that Rescue Ministries does, it can't happen if it wasn't for the generous volunteers and donors that have sustained us all these years and believed in what we do. And so
a lot of those donors are recurring.
Yes, yeah. But there's also new donors that come in, and
you have to have that because old ones pass on.
Exactly, yeah. But I also believe it's because as people see us, they understand that there's a passion for real change, and not just warehousing people. So we deliver service on 2 campuses, primarily, the City Rescue Mission of Saginaw, and then Good Samaritan Rescue Mission in Bay City. And out of that, we've been able to develop multiple programs at both locations, emergency shelter for men, women, children, families, and we're averaging probably around 225 to 230 people a night that are being helped through the homeless services at those 2 locations. And then we have offshoots of other programs. In 2021 is when we rolled up our sleeves and started to address youth homelessness in Bay County. And so we have a licensed youth shelter as well as licensed transitional housing. So 5 beds of emergency shelter to help get youth out of that crisis and to be able to start to address what the issues are. And then transitional housing, 10 beds right now of transitional housing. So then that way a kid who is 16 or 17 years old in a really difficult spot can then stay with us for up to 18 months. And then Labadee Lofts, which then is permanent housing. It's a permanent housing setting where they pay rent, but we wrap in all the support services and trying to get them connected to education and vocational endeavors. That's for 18 to 21-year-olds. So that has been just amazing to watch that grow, and so affirming to see that safety net there. And then just opening the drop-in center there in Bay City. And so who knows where that's going to lead us. It's truly is a social experiment right now in a new methodology of delivering services to the most vulnerable. And so we're really looking forward to how that continues to grow.
And you didn't mention Impact.
So then in Saginaw, so I tried to stay focused in Bay, and then in Saginaw is what we call our Impact Designs program. And that is helping when that family, and it doesn't matter whether they are staying in Saginaw or Bay City, our residents sign up for the Impact program, which says that they're going to attend life skill classes and fully engage in case management. So then at the moment when they do get and sign the lease for their new apartment, their new place of residence, then we come in with a group of volunteers and staff and then fully stage the house, everything that they could possibly need. The linens, the beds, dining room table, food in the refrigerator, and all that kind of stuff. So that's one of our really warm, fuzzy programs, and we helped 42 families establish their household with this last year. And then another new program that started in 2024 called Higher Purpose. And that's where we're trying to take the fight of poverty and homelessness out into the neighborhood there in Saginaw, trying to maybe make a difference in affordable housing. But then also there's a lot of people who just because of technology, there's barriers. They don't know what's available to them. So trying to get case management and engagement on the front lines, so that way we can avoid families ever experiencing homelessness. So that's in 2 minutes, a quick overview of what we're doing.
More than two.
Yeah.
It's all right. We're going to take a break, come back, and we're going to ask Deb about the city's view of the mission, and then also talk to Jeff about why he's involved. All of that ahead.
This is Senator.
We're back with you. Continue our conversation with Dan Streeter from the Rescue Ministries of Mid-Michigan, Deb Kiesel, who is the Community Development Director for Bay City, Jeff Hagenauer, who is the Shelter Director for the missions in Bay City. So, Deb, let me ask, how does the city of Bay City view the Rescue Ministries?
So I would say from a staff perspective, city manager, staff, myself, they meet a huge need. We know them. They've continued to grow. I work with our federal programs, so knowing that need's out there, that helps us to meet our. There's no way we meet a homeless goal, but it helps us to work with that population. If we ever need anything, we call Dan, and he's able to work with us, tell us where their needs are, or if we're having some difficulties with something, he's willing to work with their population. It's just a very good relationship. I'm not even putting that out there clear enough. It's just, we know that need's out there. We know our partnership is just great. Like he said, he'll call up and say, I have this idea. And, Dana and I can be like, okay, let's figure out where we got funding. What can we do? What's a way to make it work? Our current commission is very into human needs right now, so I think we're fitting that need right now also.
And the reality is, if he wasn't providing the services, the city couldn't afford to do it.
There's no way. There's just no way possible. It's even his understanding and his staff. They do a great job of the population, the client out there. We don't even have that true. We're not built to do that. We're built to provide city services. They're built to provide human services. So that helps bridge that gap, and it helps us help provide.
Jeff, so what drew you to the Rescue Ministries?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, for me, in my life at the time, 25 years ago, I've been with the mission now 25 years.
Oh, you're really?
And time has flown, yeah, and I've enjoyed every moment of it. But,
you don't look any older. What's his excuse?
But, yeah, I guess at that time in my life, I knew I wanted to get involved in ministry. But with a degree, my degree is in wildlife management from Michigan State University. So at that time, I now have a Bible degree since then. But I just want to get involved in ministry, and I heard about an opportunity at the Rescue Mission through the annual gala that we have here. That's the first time I ever heard about the mission. But I'll tell you that from my first day on the job as the facility manager, that's where I started those years ago. I quickly fell in love with the people that walked through the doors there, and just grew in compassion, and so had the opportunity to do many things over the years. Dan has continued to challenge me personally with his ideas. Debbie talks about ideas. Dan Streeter has some ideas, and so when he says you got an idea, we know we got some work to do. But I over the years just working with the individuals walking through that door, and typically I'm dealing with the men mostly, of course, and I've seen everything. I've seen people lose their battle with addiction, and I've seen people overcome that and become pastors in our community, and everything in between. And so it can be very challenging personally as we walk through those doors and try to work with those individuals. But ultimately, we're trying to share the love of Christ with them, trying to help them, encourage them to make some strides forward, and just minister to them.
Well, you mentioned Dan and his ideas. The three most feared words from Dan. Let's have lunch. Because something's coming. So, Dan, as you reflect on the growth of this ministry, knowing you're not done, what's next?
Well, I have to be careful because I don't want to get out in front of our board of directors. We're going to be entering into some strategic planning in April, and so we try to very consistently just have a time to get together and brainstorm. So it's going to first start with our operational staff and those who are on the front lines and what they see, and gather their ideas, and then bring our board and senior managers together to start to look at what is on the horizon. One of the things that really compels us is the lack of affordable housing. When you take a look,
That's all over the place.
exactly. But in Saginaw and Bay City, our shelter stays have elongated. It used to be that the average length of stay would be somewhere around 45 days. And now, last year, the state of Michigan, 89 days is what the average length of stay. And a big piece of it is because there isn't an affordable place for them to be able to move to. And as much as we work hard in trying to build good relationships with landlords, there's only so much housing stock. So one of the things that we're looking to roll our sleeves up into and see if we can try to create some more housing stock. And so that's one of the dreams out there on the horizon. Another part is taking a look a little bit more at our campuses and trying to create a safer environment by how people come in. So, multiple doors, things like that. Unfortunately, in the way that things are in society, I would consider our facility what you would deem like a soft target. So if somebody really wanted to do harm, it wouldn't be too difficult for them to try to manipulate their way in to do harm. So we're going to take a look at how our facilities are laid out and try to create a little bit more resistance to that, but yet still feel like home and still feel like a place that you want to be. So that's always been the difficult line, to provide sufficient safety but not feel like a prison. And so that's one of our endeavors as well. And then also we have the church building at 400 Madison in Bay City, and we want to try to renovate that. So we're going to brainstorm exactly how that facility could be put into use. And so there's some lofty things out there that we're brainstorming more about what to do. And then obviously the success of the Bay City Drop-In Center would make us hope that we might be able to open up some doors to bring the same type of services to Saginaw County as well.
Any thoughts? And again, I know you don't want to get ahead of your board, but any thoughts on expanding regionally?
We haven't had anything, immediately on our horizons to do anything like that. So I had a couple people say, if you are averaging 230 people and there's so many homeless individuals, why don't you create more beds? But I really believe the real solution is give more opportunities. And so if we can create more affordable housing, I believe firmly we have enough beds. We just need to create more solutions. So then that way people connect with the services and get sustained. So another one of the goals is putting together a case management strategy that leads even people beyond just rental, but also to home ownership, that they can take a look at home ownership and having that curriculum and plan that starts day one when they come into the shelter and say, why am I not considering becoming a homeowner? It might be a 5-year plan, but let's work on trying to accomplish it and have that goal right at the front. So there's a lot of things that we're looking at, but more shelter beds isn't necessarily what it is that we believe is the biggest solution. But that's, to me, part of the rewarding part of this job is that the public can trust rescue ministries that we're going to be good stewards of what happens and what is donated, but that they're empowering us the opportunity and want to see us continue to fill gaps and to strategize and to do more.
All right, we'll take a break and be back with our guests after these notes. All Hi, we're back with you here on WSGW, talking to Dan Streeter, the Executive Director of the Rescue Ministries of Mid-Michigan, Deb Kiesel, who's the Development Director for the City of Bay City, and the Community Development Director, and also Jeff Hegenauer, who is in charge of the missions operations in Bay County. I want to ask, go back to someone showing up at the front door. What's the difference in how they're treated if they come to the overnight warming center or they come to the front door of the shelter?
Yeah, hopefully no different in regards to just welcoming them openly and showing dignity and respect to those individuals and bringing them in and offering those services. In the shelter, of course, folks are striving to come in and get engaged in case management, those types of things. Typically, most people that come to our door are aware of those types of services.
I was going to add, do they know what they're getting into when they come into the shelter?
Most normally, yes, sir, I would say so. In the drop-in center, of course, they're there for the night. Maybe they're there just for a couple hours to get a shower and do some laundry, those types of things. But we're going to engage with them right now. My staff, I think, is doing a great job just trying to work on those relationships with those individuals that are coming in. We have been able to get some individuals into our emergency shelters from the drop-in center. So, getting them connected to our shelter or getting them connected outside services would certainly be a goal there. But initially, it's just a matter of getting them in out of the elements and give them a place to be for the night.
That's a major difference between the shelter and the overnight drop-in. Overnight drop-in, get them off the street, get them warm, give them the basics, send them out. The other one is to develop their future.
And so that's also right, and that's the passion of our case managers and those who are doing that. So there really is no wrong door, because we're going to try to help engage for opportunity no matter what door that you walk through. And then our case managers know what services are available and we have really, I think, good relationships with all the other service providers in the area, and knowing what's available for our guests, and then to become an advocate. I kind of said this last week. We should be the champions for our guests on what's available for them and help them chart the course for that and be a trusted resource that they can then engage with. The more that we can get them to understand that we're there for their best interest and build that trust and that relationship, then I think the more opportunities it opens up for them.
I know you interacted with Lansing, and you know the director there. How many shelters are there in Michigan? Do we know?
Well, that's how many actual shelters, I don't know all across the state. I'm very familiar with other faith-based shelters, specifically those that are what we would call a CityGate member. So it's an informal network that we have of other faith-based, and we get a lot of information on potential best practices and other information to help us to be better shelters. So there's about 13 of those types of shelters: Petoskey, Grand Rapids, Holland, Kalamazoo, Lansing, Jackson, Detroit, Port Huron, Flint, and Sandusky. Almost forgot Sandusky, Gladwin. And so we meet twice a year, just the Michigan directors. In fact, next week we're getting together, a time for us to be able to fellowship, but then also, more importantly, just see some of the interesting dynamics of what people are encountering. And it's those types of engagements that also helps us to think about what we might be able to do better. And then periodically we'll pack up some of our staff, and Jeff and I will take a group to go visit another shelter in another community and just look at it from another set of eyes. And it's always amazing how it challenges us to do things better.
And I have to believe that works two ways, because they walk away from you with a whole new set of goals.
Exactly.
He did what?
Yeah. Well, and, we're also then our resource for others, so there's several missions that have started up that have come and visit our sites, and we've helped facilitate them and give them here's why we do some of the things and what we do and some of our policies and procedures, and help build their capacity. So There's probably about 6 or 7 shelters that we've helped in that capacity.
Other than requiring you to get licenses for all you do, what's the state's role in all this?
So Department of Health and Human Services does have about $18 million that they distribute for sheltering all across the state. And so we do receive some of those funds. And then that, along with their partnership with the Michigan Coalition Against Homelessness, there's a lot of training that's out there available as well. So, principles like shelter diversion and, how to help get people connected with rapid rehousing dollars and funding assistance, rental assistance. And so there's a lot of practices out there available as well that we are constantly trying to engage and to, understand what's available so we can connect our guests.
All right, we'll take a break, come back with our guests, one final segment.
Jeff Gronsky here, back.
WSGW Morning Team.
It's the world's first mushroom-powered toilet. A potential solution when it comes to portable toilets, especially when they are out in places like parks, remote communities, or developing regions. The structure consists of wooden panels equipped with a rot-resistant and antimicrobial cedar exterior and a system that separates solid waste from liquid waste. It's called the Myco Toilet. It uses mycelia to convert human waste into compost.
I think it's fascinating how researchers are finding new things to do with mushrooms.
Does it say what kind of mushrooms they're using? Fungi?
Does not say.
I wondered if it might be a shiitake or something like that.
Shiitake mushroom. How about some morels?
Could be.
I'm done. I'm done.
Charlie's gone.
The Morning Team. 5:30 to 9 on WSGW.
All right, we're back with you. One final segment with our guest, Dan Streeter from the Rescue Ministries of Mid-Michigan. He's the executive director. And his director of the shelters in Bay City is Jeff Hagenhauer. And from the city, its community development director, and she is Deb Kiesel. So I want to end by reminding everybody about all these services and how they get them. So let's start, Jeff, with the overnight drop-in center. So you don't have to pre-register. You don't have to know anybody. You just show up, right?
Right, yeah, just show up.
So what happens when they walk in the door?
Door opens at 6 p.m. every evening right now. Nope, don't need an ID or anything like that. Just need yourself, come in. We have a very short intake process for those that are there for the first time, and then that's a one-time form that we fill out. After that, it's just a matter of checking them in. So it's very easy flow getting into the drop-in center.
And they can stay until?
They can stay till 8 a.m. the next morning.
And you provide them with a variety of things.
Yep, we'll offer them a sack lunch if they need that, shower facility, and laundry facilities.
And then they're out, but they can come back the next day. They can come back every day.
They could stay that whole night, and then they could come back the next day.
Have you seen a certain amount of it?
Yeah, we definitely have. We've had about 38 individuals right now, and I would say very few of them have only stayed one time. Most have been repeat.
And then, Dan, somebody shows up to a mission door, whether it's Saginaw, Bay City. What's that like for them?
So we're going to try to be able to get them a spot within the facility. Demand for beds have been very critical. And so sometimes if you have the opportunity and you're in a safe place, but you know you're not going to be able to stay there much longer, we'd ask that you call ahead of time, because sometimes we do have a waiting list. And so then that way we can kind of talk you through that. Or also there might be some options for shelter diversion, or we might know of another shelter that has a space available. So we're going to try to help work that person through that immediate crisis And then as soon as a bed becomes available, then we're going to try to place them in that. I'd also say with the drop-in center, it's, people are walking in to get that basic care, but then we're looking for how can we engage with them. It might be that they need some help with clothing. It might be mental health